1, 2, 3.
Hi.
Welcome everyone to another episode of
BUplifted.
Pew 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 pew. New noise?
Sure.
Like it. What exactly was that noise?
I was trying to clear my throat.
Yeah, it's his,
Let me clear my throat.
it's Hawk 2 at 3.5.
Yep.
Nice. Male version.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so what are we talking about? This was a topic that Vince came up with,
Yeah. And he's not prepared.
and he doesn't even have the notes. Where's your phone?
That's where it needs to be.
Yeah,
Bet.
charging.
Charging.
So we're talking about
Beep, beep, beep. Oh, no, that's not the noise.
AI,
AI.
not Allen Iverson.
Oh, I used to have such a crush on him. I made a jersey. That's how ghetto I was because I didn't want to buy one. I made a jersey.
Wow. A 76ers jersey?
Yeah,
wow.
I did. Me and my two of my best friends had crushes on him, so we all three were matching with our bootleg Allen Iverson jerseys.
Was he the one that made the spinners?
No, that's
was-
Charles Sprewell.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
I don't know about
Yeah.
that. I didn't hear
The
about that.
the Dada spinner shoes.
Oh.
Those the Charles Sprewell.
All right, so we're talking about AI because obviously in this day and age, AI is a pretty predominant growing thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucking
Kind of crazy. What do you guys feel about that? How do you guys feel about AI becoming more prevalent in this day and age?
It's fantastic.
It's fantastic. Yeah, but it's scary, but it's fantastic.
Okay, so my first question is, how do you guys incorporate AI into your daily lives currently?
Sometimes I don't think good. So I try to change my vocabulary and when I want to give somebody, like if I'm helping out a customer and I want a professional way of saying something that I wouldn't normally say professionally, I run it through AI and it generates something.
Okay, so you use it in your daily speech sometimes. What else?
I use it for Instagram posts sometimes. I've actually used AI before for this podcast, like descriptions and stuff. I've just run it through AI, and then they've given us pretty. I think we've actually used AI for the topics.
Yeah,
at
I
one
have.
point.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
What about, is this, see, I'm not a big like techie person, so is AI, would that be considered like when you talk to Alexa and stuff? That's AI, no?
To some extent.
'Cause
When
that's
if you
like-
ask it questions, it's going to give you an answer that it takes from the web.
Okay, so artificial intelligence is not like just Siri, but it's like a type of AI?
Yeah. It's basically like if you were to search something on, let's say, how to grow a specific type of plant, and you ask AI is just going to go through the internet and collect all the pertinent information and give it to you.
Okay, I thought AI was more of like a bigger scope of like not just that, but like also like the robots or like Alexa or like the self-driving cars and things like that.
To be honest with you, I don't think that there's a such thing as AI.
Okay, elaborate, please.
Well, AI is just a combination of all of the gathered data and then it producing the best result for something that you are desiring. So like, let's say if I were to use AI to generate the best way to make a post, right? All it's going to do is it's just going to take the verbiage and then cross-reference that with whatever has been the most successful and put out a version of that. So there's no actual like AI. Like AI can't like dream, I guess, you know?
Okay, so I looked up the definition of artificial intelligence, and it says it's the field of computer science focused on enabling machines to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence, such as learning, problem solving, and decision making. In essence, AI aims to create systems that can think, learn, and act in a way that mimics human intelligence.
Right.
Yeah, and if you were to think about it, AI has been around for a really, really, really long time. Because if you were to take that description, think of all the, was it NPCs in video games?
Yeah, that's true. So that's the first thing I thought of, right? When I was like, how do people incorporate AI in their daily life? I actually thought about you because I was like, oh, you said one time that you wanted to have a smart studio, right? Like,
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, he uses it a lot. And then I thought about you, how you use it in some of the editing. And then I was like trying to think about me. I'm like scared of AI, to be honest. So I don't use it often at all. Like even like I was gifted an Alexa, you know, and I was like, nope, not using it.
I don't think Alexa it qualifies more. I mean, for me, like AI, like by that definition, simple task and makes it problem solving and stuff like that. It's basically like if you wanted to go and say, hey, Alexa, or whatever, create.
Yeah, we're probably setting off a bunch
hey,
of
Alexa,
people's things.
stop. You're like, okay, I won't say Alexa anymore. But I'm saying,
Alex.
hey, whatever.
Doo-doo-doo.
It's the Amazon one, so hey, Amazon.
Yeah. Or hey, whatever. Create for me a meal plan for my family from Monday to Friday that consists of different meals that are healthy, low in what. So you're just giving it enough information
Yeah.
that it's gonna collect all that data and come up with a plan for you.
And to be honest with you, it's actually helping out a lot of people. If you were to think of one of the quotes that somebody said a long time ago was, if you have a problem and you can explain it or define it or whatever, then you're already halfway there. And basically that's all you're doing is you're dictating what you want solved. It's just you're being lazy on the other half.
Yeah. And it's also like, it's pretty interesting. I know that, who is it? Will.i.am. He actually has his own AI app, right? He's the CEO of it. It's called FYI. I use it all the time. And sometimes it's kind of crazy. And then you're like, you'll usually sit there and ask it questions and you're like, hey, can you please give me a rundown on how Tupac, as an example, how Tupac was much more, let's say, popular than Biggie, or much more influential than Biggie was in his day, using chart success, community aspects and blah blah, and it actually formulate pages that will give you all that information based on what input you gave it and what you were asking it to collect for you.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, that means that in that case, I would consider Alexa and Siri and those AI robots that you see on like TikToks and videos. That's all AI then, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, eventually I think AI is going to be able to predict the future.
Okay, so that's my next question. How do you believe AI will change the world in the next 10 years? For example, how do you think it will affect us in our work and job places, in healthcare, in our homes, etc.?
It just makes things more automated. I mean, I think the fear of us of it is just our inability to adapt to it.
I think the reason why that question came up, because I had this conversation with people, I can't remember where, but we were talking about how a lot of AI is replacing human jobs, right? Like, for example, I pulled up have you guys been to the Carl's Jr. in National City recently?
Probably.
Okay.
Which one?
The one on Plaza. So that is completely AI. So you walk up and they say their introduction, the machine says like, hi, we are now incorporating AI in our da-da-da-da, right?
Yeah.
And so she goes, please tell me what you would like to order. And it's literally AI, and like you speak, it responds to you. Would you like to change anything? Have I made any mistakes, you know? Yeah. And so that's why I asked, because I know that there's a lot of people that are like, I don't like it because it's literally taking my job.
Okay. How
do you guys feel about that? Or thoughts and opinions?
It's only taking your jobs because of the mandates you guys have asked for.
Yep.
Meaning,
okay, this might be a hot take. This is my own personal views on it. Fast food is not a career position.
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're asking for career money. Right? You can't be 35 and say I have to raise 4 kids and work at McDonald's. It never was meant to be that way.
Yeah, go to In-N-Out for that stuff.
No, not even that. I'm saying like it used to be a teenager's job.
Right.
Right? And I get that we're supposed to pay people well and they got to earn a living, but the minute you start mandating career money, they're going to replace you because the bottom line is still the bottom line for the companies.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're saying like if you're requiring more money as a human, right? Because wages are
They're going to replace you with somebody cheaper.
cheaper,
Yeah.
like a machine. I see what you're saying.
And then there's no way around it. It's like we have laws put in place in the state of California that if you own however many of these franchises or locations, you have to pay at least $20 an hour for this worker.
right.
Yeah.
But if you're when you're doing that, you're telling that you're forcing the feed that fed you. Now this company's going, oh, is that right? Well, now I went from paying people $10 an hour to now doubling that. But I can save money if I use AI.
Right.
It's only understandable that they're gonna do it.
But how do you think it's going to affect us, the rest of us that are not the employees, right? Like, so for example, when I went through that drive-through, right, it was extremely frustrating because 78% of it she got right? But there was certain things like modifications in my order or like certain things that were like little questions like, oh, does this have that on it, And it was like, I'm sorry, I can't answer that question, like, so I feel like I'm playing devil's advocate here, right? Like I agree with you guys. It does make sense and things like that. And it does make things easier, but there's an aspect of it that's inhumane, obviously, because it's not a human, right? Yeah. That makes it not personal. And it's like, I just want to fucking talk to a human being. You know what I mean?
And I see that also with like work. There's a lot of times that you call different companies and they have customer service. And there's so many prompts that they try to humanize it as much as possible, but the fact of the matter is it's not a human.
Right.
And a lot of people, they'll get frustrated and just say, I just want to talk to somebody. So when it finally gets transferred to me, the case title is, I just want to talk to a human.
Is that what you guys see on that?
Yeah.
Like you hear what they say?
Because sometimes the dictation becomes the title of the case.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, they have to base it off of that. And then when the AI gets frustrated, as frustrated as the customer gets, they just say, okay, you know what?
I'm just
the
gonna
heck with
transfer you
it.
to
I'm just
human.
going to, yeah. So it sucks that it has to get to that. But going back to like what Rich was saying, and this is a hot take that's kind of unrelated, but it is related. Mm-hmm. I think that there shouldn't be minimum wage or full-time or part-time. I think there should just be people that work. And this is the reason, is because if I'm running my studio and I want somebody to take care of it or whatever. Mm-hmm. Well, if I have to pay them a minimum wage, which in California it's like $17.25 now, an hour, and I have to pay them minimum 2 hours, but I just want somebody to sweep, I'm not going to pay them $35 to show up for 20 minutes and then leave. I'm just going to buy a robot vacuum.
An AI robot. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
True.
Yeah.
Versus if I tell somebody, hey, you want $20 real quick? Can you mop the studio?
Yeah.
You know, so that's, or if I need somebody that's going to be here a lot, and then it's like, okay, well, I have them here for 30 hours, but I need them a little bit more. But if I put them on full time, now I have to start paying their benefits and stuff like that, and it's really not worth it. So it's kind of an inconvenience. It's like, dude, that's dumb. Versus, I'll just find a way to automate it. Yeah. And now I'm taking money away from somebody else.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I'm okay. I'm not personally against minimum wage because I think minimum wage just helps people not get taken advantage of by corrupt businesses and companies. But I'm also saying that you can't mandate everybody getting paid a certain amount for a specific section of work.
Right.
Like it's restaurants.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you can't say the biggest companies that hire the most people now have to pay a certain minimum in the state of California.
Okay. So what about in certain aspects where it's more of a big deal? So one of the things that I had mentioned is healthcare, right? Yeah. Like working, I went to, I don't know if it's like a conference or an assembly, right? And one of the things that they had talked about was that they were one of the hospitals that have, don't quote me on this because I don't know the exact details, but long story short, they basically said that we have an AI robot that can perform like certain heart surgeries now, and it's like the first in the nation or something like that. Or I don't know if it's our hospital or if it was a hospital they were talking about. So how do you feel about AI in healthcare where it's doing something like that, where it's almost like life and death? Like it has performed so many surgeries, this AI robot, and they have been successful. But, you know, people's fear is like it just takes that one fuck up, you know, because it's not an actual human assessing the situation, you know? What do you guys think about that?
But at the same time, computer error doesn't happen as much as human error.
Yeah. I would say that too.
I'll be honest with you. If I were to undergo that surgery, for one, it's a computer. You may have access to the knowledge that was uploaded from the entire world, as opposed to one person that had one professor that's only had experience in one particular surgery. Also, the response time, like we just recently had an earthquake. Like the response time for the earthquake from a robot would be a lot faster than a human, because if you're a robot and you're programmed to take the scalpel away as soon as, you know, the floor becomes unsteady, that might be different than a human that can get scared and drop something during the procedure. You know what I'm saying?
I guess I'm glad that you kind of said that, because it puts a different perspective, because the way that I was seeing it was how I've heard other people speak of it, like because you basically said there's more human error than computer error.
Yeah.
Which is true. I never really thought about it that way, right? I'm glad you gave me that perspective, because I picture like the opposite, where I'm picturing like the robot glitching. You know what I mean? Or like crashing or something like that, where it's like, fuck, like a human would not glitch or crash. But when you put it in that perspective where it's like
and
human makes errors too, you know, then
also think of
true.
it like this. If there's something that you have to learn, you can upload it to a computer.
Right.
But you have to learn and practice as a human.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, there's a lot of malpractice fucking lawsuits too, and that has nothing to do with
true.
AI.
Yeah.
That's true.
You know, so I mean, it just fear. People are always going to be scared of
Change.
And what they're not familiar with. I know that in the art world, they were worried about, you know, being able to create an image from basically anything random in the internet. At the end of the day, I would say if you're a great artist, you don't have to worry about.
Okay, so what about this new thing that has been popping up where people are getting phone calls and AI scans their voice and then they use that to scam other people? Like, to me, that's one of the scariest
scary.
ones.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like there is this girl that I was watching, and I know you've said this before on our podcast, where you're like, well, that's one of a trillion. It just happened to show up on your For You page, right? But like, it's still something that happens, right?
Yeah.
Where like a girl, she picked up the phone and it was her mom's voice that was like, I'm in trouble, you know, like come and get me. And then she was like, I forgot what she had said, but she basically had a feeling and hung up and called her mom, right? And mom was like, that wasn't me, you know, but it was her exact voice. And it was because at some point AI had scanned the voice and duplicated it, and it was like a type of scam.
I'm not going to put anybody on blast, but we have a mutual friend that we were talking to earlier that has content and it replicated the voice, but I could tell because it didn't have the exact
Diction or
the cadence of the
Cadence
voice.
addiction.
Yeah, so I was like, you don't talk like that. You know, there's certain things that I've heard in your voice that stand out to me, that I know that this is being read by a computer, and it lacks that emotion. But it was very close, and I happen to be very close to this person. And to be honest with you, first thing I thought of was, hey, this robot sounds like my friend.
It wasn't the other way around. Like, this is my friend. Basically.
Yeah, it wasn't that, but
it's scary,
I could hear the tone and everything, and it's eventually going to get better because it's constantly improving.
I think that we just have to have different safeguards. Like the whole thing with, like, I know I've heard those stories where the dad receives a phone call and it's a daughter saying, I need help, blah, blah, blah. You know what? At the end of the day, I think that we have to just be aware of it and then have different safeguards to know, like, oh, so where you at? And then you could look at your phone, and I know exactly where my daughter's at because I track her, and we share our locations.
Yeah.
And then there's like. Remember back in the day when you had to have a keyword when you had like a family member pick you up?
Well,
so
I was literally gonna say
Yeah.
that because I feel like that still should be a part of it, right? Because A is not gonna know your family code word. You know, like me and my kids, we have that. Because anything can happen. So you're right. There should be certain protections that you instill into your family and things like that. I agree.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot of behind the scenes that happens with fear mongering when it comes to it. It's like. There could be a union that's like, oh man, we can't have all fast food workers replaced by robots. So we're going to have this campaign about how bad AI can be.
Okay. So with that being said, what are some things that you're really excited about? And what are some things that, okay, this is going to be hard because you guys are like men and you're very logical, but like if you were to put out there, like what kind of things are you excited about with AI to come? And what kind of things are you scared of?
I could say that I think that I'm excited about the separation between the artistic and technical. Because there's going to be a lot of things, same with a lot of technology, that separates people that use things as a tool versus people that use things as a crutch.
Okay.
Elaborate. I can do a K-pop event.
Okay.
And go into AI and say, tell me the most popular songs. Right? I can download those. Rich can get the same songs. Maybe K-pop was a bad example. But okay, Rich would actually destroy me in K-pop because he understands like the way that the culture is. But if it was like regular hip-hop, if I were to say, I'm going to do a battle and I need hip-hop from the 80s, and I was to battle Rich could get the same list, but it would change the way that I play.
Oh, I know what I'm saying. You could still be given the same tools, but the way that you use them is personalized by who you are as a person.
Right.
Yeah, just like there's a lot of tools when it comes down to art.
Right.
And I can have all of them, but Rich would still destroy me with a pencil.
That kind of reminds me of like when you take a paint class, right? And obviously it's a person, but you could be a robot in this case, where they tell you direction, right? Like, okay, in the middle of your canvas, draw a circle.
Yeah.
And then now do these little swooshes. And then at the end of the paint class, you see how everyone interpreted the direction. So I see what you're saying. That makes sense.
But technology tends to cater to our laziness. Now, are we going to give into that laziness or are we going to allow that to become another tool? For example, autofocus wasn't always a thing in cameras. Right? Memory cards weren't always a thing in cameras.
Yeah.
But now that there's autofocus and now with cameras like this, there's eye autofocus. I don't have to pay attention to the subject's face. I just know that my camera is in focus. Okay. So now I can pay attention to things outside of the frame or that should be in the frame. So making sure that her feet aren't cut off or her hat or her hands are not outside of the frame. Whereas normally I would be focusing and I would be like aiming at one thing, not seeing the rest.
Yeah.
So now with that, I can take more pictures, because I don't have to reload my film every 24 or 36 pictures. So I can do a lot more. I can be a lot more creative. I have more choices. And then there's going to be those people that are like, I just spray and pray because of that technology.
Right.
Versus me, I get a lot of pictures and now it's your problem to choose your favorite one because I know how to time it where I'm not getting her blinking. I'm getting everything in the frame. There's not automatic throwaways. Does that make sense? So
I'm hearing that like you're excited about the fact that A, it kind of like makes things easier.
Yeah.
And then B, it kind of like weeds out the lazy from those who are using it as a tool as opposed to a crutch.
Yeah. I can tell a lot of DJs
right
that learned on Serato and that learned on vinyl.
Oh yeah.
What is okay? I know you don't have many. I kind of got to that conclusion, but if you could pick one fear about AI that you would say that you're scared of, if you had to like throw one out there, even though it's not like a deep fear that you would think people could relate to, what do you think it would be?
So the fear would be that it wouldn't be that people become less relevant. It would become that industries become less relevant.
Okay.
Just because of like what I was saying before,
Right.
with the whole what is it, the minimum wage thing. Well, I've been to a club where he was operating everything off an iPad. He didn't hire a DJ.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know, and with that, even though that wasn't AI, he was still manually loading the songs. He also just played a playlist.
Right. He was just incorporating it. Yeah.
So that kind of upset me because it undervalued what we did.
Right.
But even though it was popping that night, a couple months went by and it started becoming dead. Because
You can't personalize that.
yeah, and he is a club manager. He didn't know how to read the crowd. So there's a lot of things that it's not something that's readily available right now. But if I were to DJ and I look at the crowd, I know that there's a cycle. You know, you have to cater to all of the people there, but you have to cycle them between the bar and the dance floor. So I might be playing some bangers that some kids like right now.
Right.
But I can also throw in some old school stuff where they're like, oh, okay, I remember this. I'll sing along to it, but I should go to the bar. And then the people at the bar, it might be a throwback and we're like, oh, I got to dance to this, right? Then I can cycle them out, because if I keep it popping on the dance floor with all of the kids, they will never buy drinks.
Yeah, that's true.
And if I keep it popping on the dance floor with all of like the throwbacks, the kids will eventually leave, or the older crowd won't buy drinks. So you have to
whole
cycle
reading
that.
the room thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That only a human can do. Right.
Yeah.
How about you, Rich? What are some fear? I mean, obviously you don't have a lot, but like if you could choose one, like I said, and like things that you're excited about in regards to AI.
I think I don't know if it's a fear, but the one concern that I have is that it can easily invalidate a lot of the creative things that other people are doing.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like with art, you're like, oh, you just had AI do that. And I'm like, nah, not really. I did this right by my hand and I painted it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and somebody else can be doing almost the same thing I'm doing, but they're using AI and they don't really have the skill, and they're getting the views and the adulation.
Yes.
Then I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. But the thing is, the thing is that we're kind of thinking of this on the creative side.
Yeah.
So on the creative side, it forces you to kind of use it as a tool more than as it is a crutch. So like let's go back to DJing. I can ask AI to do a 1 hour, like give me a 1 hour DJ set consisting of 2000 to 2010 hip hop.
Yeah.
And it's going to give me that list, right? That the tool I'm using is to give me a list of songs that I might already have, or I might not have, or I might forget. I go, oh, that one's going to look good. But realistically, if you played it from number 1 to number 20, even as a it doesn't have that same feeling. You have to kind of take that and then the way you DJ, the way you perform, it has its own feel to it.
Yeah.
But I'm using it to go, it eliminates a lot of the time wasted in me going, oh man, what song am I gonna throw next? Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm saying that it might be easier for Vince to just think on the fly because he's been doing this for years. But realistically, I've only been doing this like 2 years.
Yeah.
So I'm not like, I can't really go. I know the songs, but I can't go back and go, this one worked.
Right.
This one didn't work. So I'm going by a little bit of a I guess you can call that a little bit of a crutch, but a little bit of a tool to kind of help me not necessarily, like as Vince says it, not necessarily have issues with the equipment, but more or less concentrate more on
The creativity.
the creativity or the crowd.
Yeah.
Because
like the craft, basically.
yeah, like I'll the crowd.
Oh, okay.
Because I'll DJ at Fusion. I'll give Vince a break. Certain times, and it's just so that I can always say my skills. I mean, learning the equipment is not the issue.
Oh, okay.
It's the skill I have to, Does that make sense?
No, it does. Yeah.
So the AI just kind of like gives me like, okay, well, you know, I even do that for K-pop, and I know K-pop, but sometimes they're just like you sit there and you're looking at like 10,000 songs in your library. How are you going to remember that one EPMD song that will go well with this one?
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then one of the things that I've noticed with people that use it as a crutch as opposed to a tool is I'll know that there's DJs that don't understand it's far more important to read the crowd than it is to read the laptop.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that are mixing like BPMs. And it's like, yes, I do that. But I also think of the emotion. Like if you've listened to a couple of my streams, when I do beats for the sheets, I play all slow jams, but I also don't play the sad slow jams. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there's some bangers out there. I mean, Usher, Burn,
Right.
Boys to Men have On Bended Knee. Those are like by far the
'Cause you're
best
creating a
songs
vibe.
that they want. But at the same time, I don't want to do something where it's going to change the mood. And sometimes it's going to be hard for AI to distinguish that. I'm not saying it's impossible right now, but they may not be able to read the crowd like that. What if I'm doing a mosh pit? You know?
Yeah.
They're supposed to look like that. But what if I'm also doing a hip hop night and a fight breaks out? How are they going to distinguish those?
Right.
You know?
That's true.
And then at that point, no, yeah, exactly. There was a fight that broke out at the club one time, and I started playing Backstreet Boys, and it killed it really quick.
That's funny.
There was a girl on stage and everything, but it killed it. You know?
I'm saying I would love to use it more as a tool. Like, I mean, just think about it, like the possibilities. And I'm not like, I want to do a comic book. So I've drawn every single character. Let's just say.
That you should totally do a comic book
I know.
side
It
note.
ju- I just don't have the time.
Yeah.
Or the patience for it. Let's say I drew every single character. I scanned it all, uploaded it to my computer, and told the AI, this is Mark, this is John, whatever the names. I go, create me a comic book with this story, because it's already written out a story, and make these 4 characters into a comic book. And then within like minutes, she goes, and I don't have to draw panels.
Yeah.
I probably. I mean, people would argue like that's part of being an artist, but I'm like, but that's also like another tool,
Yeah.
you know.
So for me, I think mine is more on like the emotional side, I guess you could say, especially being that I'm a female. Like, I'm excited about the same things you guys are excited about. Is just the convenience of it, right? The way that it assists you in your daily life and it makes things easier from day to day. But for me, the other side of it is the fear of like things being, what's the word? Like dehumanized. Like I enjoy human interaction, you know, like I want to go through the drive-through and say, hey, how's your day? Like, thank you so much. That was great service. You know, like I enjoy that. Whereas like, I know logically speaking, it like makes things faster, makes things easier. But to me, it takes away that like personal connection and like not to get all like deep or whatever. But I feel like we're already losing that as a society with all the internet and like being able to text, and you don't really get a lot of face-to-face connection, and people don't really make friends in person anymore. They make friends online, you know? So that's my fear, is as a society, we're going to become more and more dependent on technology and kind of like lose that human connection portion, one. And then the other fear, so I went to this party one time, and the guy that I was I went to a wedding, and the guy that happened to sit across from me, he actually works for like one of the biggest AI companies. And he himself, I was like, so you're like all into AI, you know, like we're having a conversation about it. And he was like, I will not have that shit in my house. And I was super surprised, because he works for AI. I was like, really?
Yeah.
He goes, people don't know how advanced that shit is. It's almost scary.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
he was like, I've seen some scary shit working with AI, you know? And he gave me some examples of AI almost like taking a life of its own, you know? He's like, the amount that it evolves and it grows, it's like a living being almost, you know? Living organism. And so he's like, it's really scary to see how fast it's happening, because there's a part of me that is scared that it's going to be almost like, what's that movie with the robots? That
iRobot?
where it like takes over.
Yeah.
So I get, obviously, like you said, that's like
Or Terminator?
like way out there,
Yeah.
right? But there's that little piece of me that's like, what if that does happen? You know what I mean? And if a guy that fucking works in AI is literally
Matrix.
saying that, You know, I'm like, that's kind of scary, you know? So that's
Good
where
luck,
I'm
Chuck.
at with that.
Oh, wait, that's not one.
I was like, wait.
I say that you just have to deal with it.
I mean, even like you've seen those videos, right? Of like the 3 robots that were created, the AIs, and then like they asked it questions and it literally said stuff like, oh, my agenda is to evolve enough to end the world and shit like that. And it was like, what? Like the maker was like, I didn't program it to say that, you know? Like,
Yeah, I've seen a couple of them where they would put them next to each other and then they would learn that they're both AI and then they started speaking to each other
in their own language.
in a different language.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's scary. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like, that's my fear is like weird, creepy shit like that happening where it's like they're going to take over the world, you know? Like,
Yeah, but sometimes it's like I always think that our fear kind of, I don't know. I just love the innovation.
Oh, yeah.
I love the fact that we are getting there. Like, do you use Thomas Guide?
do I use it or did I
Do
use it?
you use it right now?
No, I don't.
Why
Yeah.
not?
Because we have this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I know. That's what I'm saying. There's the convenience
I mean,
portion,
there's always something that at one point we were so scared of.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were scared to go online. Like, what is this? Like, now it's like, it's made the world smaller. I can watch video. I just think I think at some point there has to be some sort of regulations that we would have to work with. But I mean, as far as the technology in itself, I mean, just so exciting.
Yeah.
Like what's going on.
I mean, it's true because even like on the smaller aspect, right? Like as a mom, like I can track everything my kids do. I can watch what they're doing. I'm able, like right now, my kids are literally sending me requests like, Mom, can you please approve 15 more minutes on my iPad? You know, and it's like I wouldn't be able to do that with like the advancement without the advancement of technology. I know that's not exactly AI, but it's like in that same vein, you know. So I'm excited too, but you know, there's that like scared person that's like old school and afraid of change inside of me that's like, no, the robots are gonna take over.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know how. I mean, like nowadays, if you're a dumb kid at school, you have no choice. You have no excuses. You could use AI to do your homework.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
All I hope is that the good people that use AI are always outpacing the bad people that use AI.
Okay, so you took the words out of my mouth because I was gonna say that. I feel like my biggest fear is that it's gonna fall into the wrong hands.
Yeah. Like the one of my biggest pet peeves and you know, trigger things is when people take advantage of older people.
Yes.
Like recently I almost got in a fist fight with somebody that I've never met before. But they were leaving, I think, grocery outlet and his dad was carrying groceries. And then he asked him, "Can you open the trunk?" He's like, "Dad, it's just one bag. Just put it in your lap." I'm like, dude, why do you got to disrespect your dad?
Yeah, why do you gotta be a dick?
You know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But there's also being more relevant to the conversation, there's these people that are scamming older people that don't understand.
That don't understand AI.
Yeah. So, that's where I'm afraid. So that's my biggest fear is that it gets into the wrong hands and the people that have the good intent can't keep up.
Yeah, I mean, because it already has gotten in some of the wrong hands.
Yeah.
Right? Because speaking to that, like even my mom, right? Speaking of older people, she's like, send me text messages like, Anak, look, I got this text message. It says that I have this package waiting, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, don't click on that. Like that's literally trying to get the information on your phone because I got that same text, you know?
Right.
And she's like, oh, I wouldn't have known if it wasn't for you telling me, you know?
Yeah.
So that's true. That's very true.
I think we just have to be more aware of that. Like actually, like take a class on phishing. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we worry about that now, right? With it attacking your phone. Mm-hmm. But how many people got emailed from a Nigerian prince?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a simple email.
Well, and it's exactly, and some of them are actual people too. Like I remember, you guys are gonna laugh at me. So this happened to me. I think Henzo was just born. I got a call and I literally lost my shit. I thought I was gonna get arrested because some, person from out of the country called me and was like, something about your taxes.
Yeah.
You know, and it was totally a scam, right? They're like, you need to show up here or mail something $1,000 or else they're showing up at your doorstep tomorrow and you're going to be arrested.
Yeah.
And I remember I called my mom crying, like, Ma, I don't know what to do. I don't know how I missed something on my thing. And she's like, Anak, that's a scam. And I was like, oh, okay, but
we didn't get rid of phones then.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's true. That's very true. So as tech advances, what do you think are some ethical considerations we need to keep in mind? Like, how people are afraid that their AI is going to leak their information out, or like people are stealing identities and they're able to do that because of AI.
No, I mean, I think maybe it assists it a little bit, but trust me, your information is already out there somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the unfortunate truth. We live in a world where I can push 2 buttons and order something from Amazon and it gets delivered to my door. I mean,
I can say it out loud and it'll get delivered.
Right. Your address is already on file everywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like,
I know it's not like before you could block your number from the phone book. Like that's not a thing anymore.
Yeah. Wait, what was it? Star 67? Like
Yeah, star 67.
Does that even work still anymore?
I have no idea.
I've never tried, so I don't even know.
But I mean, it's your data is just everywhere, and then like even companies that tell you they'll protect it don't that could be a scam too. So I mean,
true.
you just gotta be aware of what you share and what you don't share. But if you're worried about your data of being exposed because of AI, well, where's AI going to get it? But your own system, or you offering it to AI to be able to
do stuff.
I mean, it's crazy. Sometimes I'll go someplace and it's like I'll pay, right? I'll pay somewhere, and it will, because of the system that they're using to pay to get my payment, it already has my phone number, my email, and if they just hit, oh, you want the receipt? No, and then all of a sudden I'll get a text message. Here's your receipt from blah 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 blah.
You know what I just started using? I don't know if this falls under AI, but my daughter was like, "Wow, Ma, I'm so proud of you," because I just started using this thing, the card on the phone, the tap. Because I have my card, right? But
it's not AI.
I know it's not, but
even close.
Yeah, but it falls under the vein of like technology, right? Like I was like, that scares me just as much as AI does. And she's like, why? I'm like, I don't know.
No,
No, just the phone in particular, because but now I use it and I know that I'm like, it's ridiculous. But one of my friends that was a tech person literally had to break it down for me. She was like, the code that's put in, like when someone scans it, is not the same as what's on your card. So like it changes it, for every transaction apparently. I was like, oh, okay, that makes me feel better, because that was my fear at first. I was like, what if like it's in my phone, and then because there's those stories too of like people walking by and they can literally like tap your phone and get information from your phone, and I was like, oh, that's really scary.
That's why you have to double tap.
Yeah, well now, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, but before I didn't understand that, that had to be explained to me, and that goes back to I'm not old, but like old people being taken advantage of. I was just kind of like, I was one of those people that were like, oh my god, I'm scared someone's gonna fucking screw me over because I'm not educated on it.
We also live in a world of fear mongering.
Yeah.
So if somebody doesn't agree with somebody, or they feel threatened with somebody, they'll just like flood the world. I mean, flood social media or whatever with just propaganda.
Right. I think more needs to happen. Like for me, I'm not educated on things, but I have a big thing of asking questions about it. Like I'll go around and be like, hey, what's this mean? Or what's that? And it helps me lessen the fear, Whereas a lot of people, they just like follow the fear mongering.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's certain platforms right now that are just full of like propaganda. And I'm like, there's no way we are allowing this in our country.
Yeah.
To,
Yo, that's a whole other topic.
I'll keep it that.
You know what platform needs to use AI is Pornhub.
Why?
So I don't have to search for videos. I just put in what I want to see.
But don't you? Isn't that like? I guess that's different. I was gonna say that's like tapping on categories.
There's a search function.
Yeah, the search function.
Yeah, but what if I don't like the person that I see in that? Or what if the person that I'd like to see isn't doing that?
I mean, there's different categories.
Do you want it to? You just want it to talk to it and be like da 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 da, and then it like generates exactly what you want. Is that
Yeah, if I want to watch a video with Sung Hai Lee,
I knew you were gonna say her. That's like your.
You
favorite.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I could do that. Like there's these
But watching her do specifically what you want to do.
Yeah.
You're saying, okay.
I want her to alphabetize all of the records behind me. Butt naked.
But naked.
You know what I'm saying? Like that would be for one, that would make it a lot easier to find the videos that I like.
Yeah.
Right? 2, it will humble a lot of women.
Yeah.
Right? 3, and I'm just making these up as I go along because I actually only thought of the first one. But I mean, to be honest with you, where's the downside in that? Like if you were to have AI incorporated in that website,
Yeah.
right? And then just full on legalized prostitution.
Right.
You can have the AI as paid. That would eliminate like the trash that we see of these girls that are doing
Trashy things.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have to worry about like somebody's daughter like
Yeah.
feeling bad about that. But if you do want that contact, hook up with a prostitute.
I mean,
Prostitution is always the solution.
I see a lot of those on that one street over there
there's a lot.
in National City.
Yeah, and
On-
see,
on
the
Main-
quality of those girls would go up if we knew that there was a better option just a click away.
No, that's funny. Who was I talking to about this?
I'm
They were
really
like, I
convincing
don't
myself on
understand
this.
why there's prostitutes when there's the internet. Like you can just
Yeah.
put it on the like. Why are you out here at 7:00 in the morning in a thong when you could just blast your services on the internet? You know?
because there's certain people on welfare that don't have homes with the internet,
Oh, you right.
or
Okay.
or they have.
Well, they shouldn't be spending it on prostitutes then.
Well,
No,
sometimes
he's saying the prostitutes are the people that have no internet.
no. I'm saying, why is there prostitutes when there's the internet, right?
Yeah.
You're saying
No, like basically, why are prostitutes out there selling themselves when you can go? Like they don't have it anymore. But remember how there used to be Backpage and you could get a prostitute off of Backpage?
yeah, well, because it was illegal until the state of California did absolutely nothing about it nowadays. So they're out on the street.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Why would they be on the street when you could just use technology to market yourself? Because it's cold in the morning.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
Look, I
sometimes
could.
you're not that great.
Every
looking.
man's dream, right? I want. I'll type this in. I want a beautiful woman with gigantic boobies that will let me win an argument.
Yeah. Oh.
That's so.
See?
sexy.
Wait. Let's
That
go
just
back.
made your dick so hard.
Look, always think about your demographic. All right. If you're a prostitute and you want to go ahead on
the way he's giving a tip, right?
if you're on Instagram or Facebook Marketplace selling yourself, that's not your demographic. Your demographic is still that guy
on Main Street driving by.
on Main Street driving by because it creates no footprint.
Oh,
Right?
that's what it is.
It's a
the
cash
zero
transaction.
footprint.
Zero footprint.
You're right. That's very true.
So think about your demographic. Your Johns, right? Those are called Johns because they're supposed to be invisible. No name,
Right.
no nothing.
See, you're so smart. That's true. You're right. You're right. Okay, so what areas do you think humans should gain back control over AI systems? And what areas do you think AI can take the lead?
Fast food.
So you're good with the fast food?
I'm good with fast food.
What about you?
So wait, you're good with them taking over fast food?
I'm good with walking into McDonald's and just pushing the button and ordering.
I'm okay with that. I
So
think
you're good with zero human contact in fast food?
I'm good with the ability to not make mistakes, and if it is, it's my own.
Okay, so what if you order something and it's fucked up? And it's not your mistake. It just happened to be fucked up.
It's the guys in the back then because I put it in properly on the system. It's not. It's not a misunderstanding that he. I said.
Yeah,
no,
but they
no,
have those.
she's-
So you were saying that you would want AI to be just the ordering portion, but not the making portion, because there's places that are being built now where the whole thing is AI, even the machines in the back
Yeah.
throwing the burgers.
so.
together.
I'm cool with that too.
Yeah.
Because I know that when I've hit up Amazon, there's a automated person, and then when I complain to them, they give me a credit.
So what happens if you're like at the, just hypothetical, right? Like you're there, you make the order is right, and you're in the system, and then it comes back wrong. Oh shit! What do you do then?
Here's the thing.
What would you do then?
I'd
Just deal with it?
I'd probably just deal with it. I mean,
Okay.
but here's the thing. That's why they probably have an attendant to tell you that shit's fucked up. Like, can you get it again? Look, we're going to go back to fast food because it seems like though everything in fast food is starting to get automated.
Right.
Yeah, just like car manufacturing.
Yeah. But fast food is not a career.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about the person working. We're talking about the
No,
consumer.
no,
right?
that's what I'm saying though. But I'm saying that's why they're being more automated.
Right.
If they weren't getting paid so much, we probably wouldn't deal with.
But as the consumer, what are you okay with and what are you not okay with AI
I'm okay
taking
with
over?
the fast food.
I'm okay with them taking. I don't think
What else are you okay with?
Air traffic control.
no. They shouldn't take over air traffic control because there's like
Why do you say yes and why do you say no?
I just think that air traffic control in itself has there has to be a human involved in that
Because
there could be just glitches like let's just say there was not like a lack of communication, like let's just say the message going out just didn't go out but the system still thought it did.
okay.
You know what I mean? Like as far as like, hey, runway 365, there's actually a plane there. You can't land there. And, if there was an issue with a sensor, something like that.
Isn't that the same with healthcare though? Like what if there was a message that didn't go through or did go through and then something happened?
I think that it would minimize the errors.
Even in air traffic, which is why you said yes for air traffic control?
Yeah,
Okay.
because there's a lot of calculations that people
Humans
can't
can't do.
do. Space exploration. I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I agree with that. Space exploration. I feel like that puts a lot more people less at risk if you're sending robots out there. Yeah.
One thing that I absolutely do not want AI to take over is competitions. Like the Olympics. I don't want to see like the Philippine robots get
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
like
That's
can you
true.
imagine it's like China versus Japan?
So like sports and competitive things. Yeah. I agree.
MMA, I don't want to see that.
I look a bunch of robots fighting
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
That's true. It'd be like Big Hero 6, just a bunch of robots.
Yeah, I think that just becomes a whole nother genre. I mean,
So you're okay with it, but as long as there's still human stuff,
yeah.
just another genre.
Well, it will be like that one movie where what was it? Hugh Jackman was he was
Pacific Rim?
controlling the.
Was it Pacific Rim?
No, it was. He was like a
controlling-
boxer or something. Yeah.
Yeah, he was controlling the beat up robot or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. I can't remember the
Okay.
name.
Yeah, I think that would be sick.
No, I mean, I don't know, man. It's just, like sometimes I just want to enjoy the innovation, kind of get interested in what people are trying to do as opposed to like really thinking about like what the repercussions are to society. 'Cause
What about like self-driving cars and self-driving pilots? What do you guys think about that kind of stuff?
I look forward to it.
Forward or not?
and to
Or
be honest
for it
with
or
you,
not for it?
I look forward to it.
if every car was like that, now that would suck for the people that like to drive. But if every car was like that, there's like almost I can't imagine any errors. There would be a lot less traffic.
Self-driving. Well, what do you guys think about the fact that there's already been like a few accidents and deaths with self-driving cars that were tested?
Yeah,
that,
but
that comes with the innovation, the technology. I mean, how many people died in
So you're okay with
space
it as long as
exploration?
you're okay with it as we progress, they tighten up all the errors.
Oh, yeah,
is what
yeah.
you're saying.
For
Okay.
sure.
And then of all those deaths and whatever, how many of those would have been prevented if a human was driving it? What if in those particular scenarios, no matter what the response time is, it couldn't have been avoided?
Yeah, that's
I think we just can't limit innovation
Yeah.
for the sake of what can be detrimental to us possibly. Like a lot of your famous painters died of lead poisoning from the lead in the paint. Mm-hmm. We still paint today. Mm-hmm. We've changed though. We've learned that we can't fucking put lead in paint.
So what I'm hearing is you guys are for it because at some point something has to be sacrificed to move forward.
Yeah, I think somebody has to be sacrificed. I mean, certain things have to be sacrificed. I mean, you know, our cars only go so fast, but somebody had to
die to figure out.
not to say somebody had to die, but there has been accidents that happen.
Yeah.
And now from that, what you get? Seatbelts.
Right, that's true.
And then what do you get from that? You get cars that actually have crumple zones. So that so you get those old Volvos that people say, oh, it's a tank. I hit a wall and it didn't even dent. I go, yeah, but it threw your brain halfway out your skull and back because there wasn't any way to dissipate that force.
Yeah.
You know, there's certain things like that we don't see or we didn't see. Help us with how we, like certain things that we have today.
Yeah, I like
that was part of the invention or the process.
Yeah, there's always a sacrifice with a gain.
Yeah.
Like how many people did they try to do craniotomies on to figure out that it was mental health?
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Shock therapy. Remember shock therapy?
Yeah.
That was a thing, right?
Yeah.
Till we realized it wasn't.
Right.
Now, is it good? No, but we
had to do it to figure it out. Basically.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah, there's a lot of tragedies that turn into great things. You know, like when people fall down. Now we have shorts that we could just scroll through. So those fail videos. See? There's a bonus.
I was gonna say when people fall down, they learn to get back up. That's what you were gonna say.
Yeah, we have life alert. I've fallen and I can't get up.
Yeah, that's true.
But
so you guys view AI as more of a collaborator than a competitor?
Oh yeah,
if you had to
for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it depends on how you are. If you're just a victim all the time, then then should let it take over your life.
Most of the time, it's the people that think they're either. Okay, I'm gonna use creatives. It's most of the time it's people that think they're creative that are really scared of AI because they can't evolve past AI.
Ooh, you're gonna ruffle some feathers with that because I've heard a couple of artists because you go on Instagram now, right, and you see AI generated art all the time now, right? And I've had a couple people that I know that are artists that can't stand it. They're like, see, this is that shit. Like, this is why fucking artists are not getting the flowers and the credit that they need because AI is fucking coming up with shit and taking, our space and blah, 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 blah. But that's a really...
But yeah,
I hate to say it. That's actually a good point, guys. Like, you have to be creative enough in your craft to be able to evolve past the AI.
Yeah. How much? Okay, I'm gonna ask you this. Okay, those artists... Were you making millions before AI?
No, and
if not, then shut the fuck up because you weren't making money to begin with.
and then also like
how popular were you? No, you had 200 followers, then you weren't popular. I mean, it just like you're gonna complain over nothing.
Yeah.
But also there's those. They're very popular, at least in my feed, where they take two genres of like fictional characters and they put them together.
Yeah.
Like they make a beast of those two.
I've seen that, yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And people will say, oh, that's not art. And they hate on it. And it's like, okay, when did you do that?
Yeah.
Because if they're complaining about that getting done and it's like, oh, this is why they're not hiring us artists and stuff. Okay, well, you didn't do it either.
That's true. Like, you didn't come up with that. Why are you mad that this computer
Yeah.
did? Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, if I came up with something in my head that I couldn't formulate on paper and it was a innovative, a put together, blah, blah, blah. I mean, Wolverine with Cyclops and let's say they had a baby and the stepfather was the Hulk. What would it come? Then it came out and it's like his idea kind of put that out.
Yeah.
Somebody at the end of the day, it's still his because he sparked it, basically.
Yeah, it's just like saying like okay, I work for Nike. Michael Jordan says, "Hey, I want a shoe inspired by a Ferrari." That's all he had to say. Then I drew it. Then Michael Jordan gets credit for having dope shoes.
That's true. That's true. Okay.
And people just need to stop being full of themselves. Like, I don't want to sound like arrogant or whatever, but I've told people, I know I'm not the best DJ. I know I'm not the best photographer, but I know a lot about this. And I hope that when I teach people these things, giving them the technology so that they can express their art and hopefully that they can surpass me is my ultimate goal. You know, I want people to learn everything from me and then take it to a, you know, in a direction that I would have never thought of. But why would we hold back people's artistic nature or their artistic gift just because they don't have the technology?
Yeah. And most of the time it's like, bro, okay, I could totally understand if you had a graphic design company and you were having competition on this side from somebody that just completely uses AI. I could understand your gripe.
Yeah.
But if you're just some guy that likes to fucking draw graffiti on your sketchbook, and now you're complaining about how AI is taking over art, it hasn't taken over any of your art.
Yeah.
You're
just mad because you're not popular.
You are not there's no competition there. Like, why are you so mad about something that doesn't directly affect your art?
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, if I were to draw, like, let's say my comic book, there's no way an AI is going to replace how my audience feels about my work.
Yeah. That's true.
You know, you're going to complain about AI, but there isn't a competition because you have nothing that you're producing that competes against that thing that you see on Instagram.
Right.
Right? So you see the Instagram art. Well, are they selling that piece of art? Probably not. Are you selling that piece of something equivalent? Probably not. So what are you complaining for?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I wish AI would take over is the court system.
Oh.
I think that would be dope. I think if
really
two people
smart.
were not represented by anything other than shapes, right? Like a circle and a square. So you don't know if it's a guy or if it's a girl. You don't know if they're black or white or Asian or Hispanic. You just have these two objects.
And the facts.
And then you put in the facts from both with proof.
Right.
And then AI judges, like, okay, based on this income, based on this fact that they do this, and this, you get custody, or this person has to pay this child support, or this person is guilty because of this, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then there's not, you're not, you're not swaying a jury or anything like
That's
that.
what I was going to say. I really like that idea. I never even thought about that because if you think about it, that's why they, what is it called? When they choose jurors, what is it called?
Jury selection?
Yeah, like they do that because they have to be non-biased, right?
Yeah.
But with AI, it's going to be non-biased no matter what. You don't even have to like choose certain people.
Yeah. Like AI wouldn't have been like, well, O.J. Simpson was such a great football player.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
He's my favorite. I want him to be innocent.
Yeah.
You know, that makes sense. I like that. What do you think about that?
I don't know, I'm thinking. Well, I mean, there's just so much information. The problem is there's just so much information as far as law is concerned that it's
That AI can learn.
that AI can learn, but it could.
But like, okay, let's take like, what are they called? Plaintiffs?
Let's just say O.J. Simpson, right? Was found not guilty because if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Yeah.
Now that's part of the database. This guy could be fucking 100% guilty, but if the glove don't fit, you must acquit.
Because that's what the AI is learning.
That's what the AI is learning.
I see your side too.
Yeah, I mean,
because it doesn't. At some point, I don't know if you can teach it logic.
well, you wouldn't.
It would be like a calculation, right?
Yeah, it will be a calculation, and let's be honest. It was catchy. That was his name, Johnny Cochran.
Johnny Cochran
Yeah.
said that. You know, so that's what stuck.
But I'm saying that, but because of that, going forward, AI knows that.
Yeah, but that's not the only factor that it would take into consideration. You know, like let's say that we were to, everything that's submitted has to be proved. Like there has to be receipts. There has to be like, you know,
measurements, proof,
yeah, exactly.
scans, things like that.
So I would say that there's going to be, and don't get me wrong, I'm mostly thinking about custody.
Okay.
You know, like let's say if you put in both persons' income, right? You put in both the times that they spend with the kid or whatever. You know, if you take into account all of the facts that can be proven, then there would be a lot less unfit custody things, or like say divorces. You know, if you put in, well, this person made all of the money and this was before this wedding or whatever, you know, like there's a lot of people that are getting alimony that shouldn't be. There's a lot of people that are getting divorced that shouldn't be, you know.
That shouldn't be.
Yeah, I mean, well, like they shouldn't be penalized from the divorce. You know, like there's people that get married, they're together for like a year and then they split up. And it could be because one of them was unfaithful, but that unfaithful person might even get half just because, you know, they got
A better lawyer or something.
yeah.
Yeah. I see both sides.
I'm just saying that by taking the human contact of that out,
Human emotion out of it.
yeah, it normalizes everything.
Yeah.
It evens the playing field.
I think that, well, for me, I think they do take into account the whole 1 year thing when it comes to the alimony and stuff. But I mean, I would say like if you were married to somebody for 15 years and you were a multimillionaire and you guys get divorced, sometimes you look at it like it's just, I don't know, it's just displacing somebody from what they were used to that for 15 years, kind of like.
If you haven't, what's it, I don't know if this is the right word, an amicable,
Amicable.
separation. Is that where they're both
On this, they're both okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then if you had a particular lifestyle and you got accustomed to that and you gave up your career because you wanted to be a stay-at-home parent, so that the other person can earn the more money, then yes, I think that can be split evenly. But in some cases, there could be a hardworking person who got cheated on by somebody else, and then they left, and that person that cheated gets half of everything
Because the faithful person makes more money or whatever.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I'm already thinking about how how to program this. It's gonna be fucking horrible.
Okay, so to close, moving forward, where would you hope to see AI, let's say, in the next 5 years, and how would you incorporate it into your life? Like what growth or what changes or what if you could like, you know, write your standard, like this is what I want AI to do for me, where would you hope to see it in 5 years?
Well, I wish it would take place of CPAs. I could just put everything in. I don't have to pay anything.
No, I mean that's pretty much now. I mean,
Yeah.
go to TurboTax and dump all that stuff in.
Yeah.
But I mean, I really would want it to evolve into where you can have like that personal assistant, where you pull out your iPad and you have like whatever Assistant Pro, and then you talk to it, and then it'd be able to call fucking like it just do your schedule, everything.
Make the calls you don't want to make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because how many times have I sat on the phone for a fucking hour on hold or something?
Yeah.
Or follow up on the email. Like, you know, you go, oh, email. Okay, well, Jackson, let's call that thing the
Or,
AI.
hey, Ari, you know that this has been sitting here without being sent for the past 14
Oh my
days.
God, that's so true.
You know?
That would be so amazing if there was an AI thing that was like, hey, bitch, answer that text message. It's
No,
been
you can't.
sitting
It's
here
like,
for 10 minutes.
Jackson, please reply to Vince.
No, but
Now,
you
I'll
could,
be right there. Okay, and then texted Vince.
That's what I'm saying. That would be like,
But
like a reminder.
so that's something that's easy, but it can also be one of those things where it's like, oh, this has been pending for whatever,
Yeah. Yeah, I like that idea.
I mean, I get some of those alerts. Like I'll say, like, you have unread messages from, like, depending on the app. Like you have unread messages from 3 days ago, and then I'll go, oh, what the fuck is this? I'll go look.
Yeah.
But I mean, stuff like that. Like, hey, I need an answer. Can you, read read the email, blah blah blah. Please reply back with when can I get it, and I don't have to. And the thing would just automate and send it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just stuff like that, like stuff like that to make my life easier and like make it so that you're not necessarily like sitting there like trying to fucking.
What about as a society? Where do you hope to see AI? Not like your personal assistant, but like the world.
Oh, it would be nice if one of the AIs would just be like, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't be raising these tariffs because these are the outcomes, and then they're going to retaliate like this, and this is the scenario, and then next thing you know, we don't have cars or like computer chips. Maybe something like that.
Well, maybe if you understood why the
Or
tariffs
mangoes.
are being raised.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
Yeah, it could explain that to me, to be honest with you.
It could though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was a fun and interesting topic.
Yeah. Next episode, we're going to talk about tariffs. No, I was kidding.
So if you're watching this episode, put in the comments some fears or some thoughts or things you're excited about in regards to AI. If you agree or disagree with any of the statements or opinions that we have, go ahead and put it in the comments.
And if you have pictures of thoughts, send them to me.
Yes. You can ask ChatGPT what your thoughts are and post them in the comments down below.
Boom. All right, you guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode, and we will see you guys on the next one. Bye.
Bye.